Private one-to-one sessions have returned with Brad Johnson and Adronis, with appointment times from 30, 45, and 60 minutes online. Offline sessions including the 3 questions by email and distance healing are now available. Book your session now through our website, wisdomtransmissions.com.
Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you more about there is no multiverse. There is only the universe. Now, of course, when I'm talking about this, it feels like I'm going right into the genre of science fiction, because we see so many films, we see so many forms of entertainment that have tried to win us over with the idea, quite commonly, of believing that there's a multiverse. And of course, we have a lot of the scientific community that states that there are indeed multiverses or different dimensions and so forth. And that's all fine and good, but it really comes from a state of ignorance to feel that there is actually a multiverse, because everybody's really subscribing to it. And the reason why I say it represents ignorance is because any concept that takes you into a manyness idea is false. Rather, when you're looking at how everything is one, that is the truth. And unfortunately, many mainstream scientists, people in general relativity or unified field theory or string theory or multi-universe theory or whatever they want to call it, are just subscribed to this idea of thinking that everything is manyness, that there's variety, that there's all of these different components that they can put into boxes, that they can put into dresser drawers and say, well, there's this, there's that, and the other thing. So we get into this subscription idea of manyness and thinking that there is a variety, thinking that everything is so diverse, and you're going in the opposite direction. So as Adronis would say quite often, is that if you're moving away from the truth, you're moving away from the magnetic north of your own true perception. You're heading south, so to speak. And unfortunately, that's what happens, looking at this nature of multiverse. So the question I would pose to many of those who are so hung up on the idea of a multiverse, I would say, since you believe so much in the nature of a multiverse, firstly, do you understand what the universe is? And many of them are saying, well, we're still figuring that out. We're still figuring out the universe. Well, of course you are, because you've never used a universal scale for anything. You've never looked at a scale that represents an infinite quality. You've always been compacting everything into a box. You've been using Planck's distance. You've been using all these different things of equations through your calculus, through your trigonometry, through your advanced mathematics. I'm sure that's quite impressive, right? And that's all fine. But still, you're still looking at sums. You're still looking at totals. You're still looking at finiteness. And if you do not align to the nature of the infinite scale to which the universe itself thrives, you do not know the universe. So why bother asking if there is a multiverse when you don't even know about the universe? And I don't know if they could answer that, right? Many of these scientists don't even know what magnetics are. They don't even know what the energy, they don't even know exactly how you stand, how you sit, how you walk, how you talk, how you lay down. They haven't even been able to find out the nature of how the body is able to become conscious. And they think that they know everything about multiverses. You see, when people think that there are other universes and all that, all they're really saying is that there are different concepts, there are different facets of experiences that are taking place that we may not know. And you'd be right about that. You're certainly correct about that. There are many different facets to the universe where you can look at history in a different way, where you can see the shapes of life in a different way, right? But that does not represent a multiverse. Okay? There really is no such thing as multiverses. There is just the one universe. Contained inside the one universe represents all spectrums of possibilities, of capabilities. The universe itself is a potentiality. It represents potential. And when we start to gravitate towards something that we want to bring into reality, therefore we have actuality. So it gives us infinite potential, because again, really what's behind all of that, it goes beyond the universe. It goes into the ether, right? The ether represents infinite capacitance, it represents infinite potential, it represents infinite possibility, and it represents infinite actuality, because everything that represents form, image, concept, idea is all formed through perturbations of the ether. So, looking at that, it would make a lot more sense to say that there really is just one, the one universe. And this is something that has been backed up for many thousands of years, going back into ancient sciences, ancient wisdom. The yogis know this, right? And they too will also tell you that if you are being led astray by thinking there is manyness rather than the one, you are wandering from death to death. That's something right out of the Upanishads. So thinking that there are an infinite number of universes, again, it's just like a child telling me that there's an infinite number of strings in their shirt or an infinite number of cloth strings in a washcloth, right? It's just like saying, oh, well, there's gazillions and gazillions of this and gazillions of that. I'm like, well, what type of language are you using here? Stating that there is a gazillion, a super bazillion, right, number of universes. Again, science, as we currently understand it, doesn't even know what a universe is. They don't even know what the human being is. They don't even know what brings the human being into life. They don't even know what life is. So where is this actuality of thinking that there are multiverses? It's just something that a certain alignment of people do not understand, right? It's like going back in time and showing a caveman, a cell phone. They would just think it's something magic, and they would think that, oh my goodness, this fell from the heavens and it must have been given to us by the gods and so forth. And they will greatly exaggerate its existence. Well, we're basically doing the same thing when we look at current science in regards to a lot of its common models, whether it's general relativity, unified theory, string theory, quantum mechanics, etc. None of them are even close to being 100% correct. And this, again, is something that people are so big on quantum physics and quantum mechanics. It's okay, that's fine. You're kind of close to certain ideas, but you're still not even close to the idea of understanding this. Because again, any particular system that utilizes a finiteness to try to understand what life is, isn't going to work. In order for you to know the universe, you have to get behind the infinite. You have to understand that the universe does not work with mankind's scales, does not work with a human concept of how things are. And that is what we try to do. So many of us. We try to put our image, we try to put our face onto the world and saying, this is my earth. Everything here is mine. This all belongs to me. People need to act the way I tell them to act. People need to behave the way I tell them to behave. And like I said, this becomes an immaturity. And it's science trying to do the same thing. It's trying to put the human face on top of the universe and say, nope, there's a multiverse. Nope, there's multiverses on top of multiverses with extra multiverses on the side. So again, the best way I could look at this is giving you an analogy of a hall of mirrors. Many of us understand that the universe is holographic. Now, that would be absolutely correct. Okay? When you look at the nature of a holographic universe, why would you need to feel like there needs to be many holographs representing universes? The one universal holograph is all that you require. Because I said, the universe itself represents an infinite potentiality. which means all things can be manifested here. Why would you need to have something on top of that? That's like saying, I'll have infinity plus 1. I'll have infinity plus 2. I'll have infinity plus 3. You can't do that. You don't understand the infinite if you're saying, okay, well, infinity plus 1, infinity plus 2, right? Maybe good as a little kid's joke, but this is basically what science is trying to say. Well, there's infinity of the universe plus more infinity on top of that, representing infinity of multiverses. It's ridiculous. It's funny, it just makes me laugh. And, again, before I started following this path, I was very much subscribed to the idea of multiverses and stuff like that. But as you start to go within and you commune internally with spirit, you get deeper understandings here. And that there is nothing pertaining to the idea of infinity on top of infinity. If you understand that the universe represents infinite potentiality and infinite capacitance, then why would we try to put infinity on top of infinity? It makes no sense whatsoever. So this is why the whole idea of a multiverse is bunk. So like I said, it's like going into a hall of mirrors, looking at the holography, and seeing all of these different mirrors around you. They're different shapes, they're different sizes, right? Many of them have some different tints and colors, and they basically warp yourself pertaining to your own understanding of your image, of how you appear, right? Some may make you look small. Some may make you look super tall or super narrow, super thin, super wide, right? Do those mirrors represent other universes? No. What do they represent? Reflections of facets contained within this universe, because all potentiality is here, right? Like I said, everything returns back to the one. Everything is from the one, right? If we're just getting caught up in this manyness idea of thinking that there's variety and there's diversity and there's just infinity on top of infinity, then you're being led astray. This is not about the idea of a multiverse. This is all about the idea that everything comes back to the one. It's kind of like, oh, well, we don't really understand the universe, so let's throw it away and let's give a multiverse idea instead, because we still don't really understand this, and maybe a multiverse theory will give us an idea to balance out equations. Oh, that's a brilliant idea. Golf clap, golf clap. And that wouldn't surprise me if that's the thinking behind all of this with a multiverse. Right, if we try to understand the universe, we can't really understand it, but hey, let's put a multiverse in this and let's move forward into different quantum calculations, and we'll get our equations all balanced out by looking at a multiverse idea, because it basically takes our mind off the universe, and we'll just start talking about multiverses and stuff like that. Hey, brilliant idea, yeah, so good. And the whole room is filled with golf claps. How nice. And that again is where we're led astray. We're led astray to the idea of thinking that everything needs to be separate and there needs to be more on top of more, when you already have the infinite. Oh, the infinite's not enough. We have to have more on top of more. We have to have more on top of the infinite. And that's what we're trying to say with a multiverse. Don't even know what a universe is. Don't even know the life energy that animates you, that causes you to stand, to sit, to walk, to talk, to sleep. And yet you think that you understand how the universe has multiverses? It's an absurdity, right? So this is a perspective that I'm giving, is really looking into the Hall of Mirrors analogy pertaining to the one universe. That through the one universe, you see all of these mirrors around you. It's true. You see all different arrays of experiences and expressions around you. It's true. You see all potentials of a mirror that you basically walk down the hall more and you see a mirror like you've never seen before. And that's true, because that again is bringing potentiality into actuality. And that all comes from the one hall. That's not an infinite number of hallways with an infinite number of mirrors that's coming on top and on top and on top. Infinity on top of infinity on top of infinity. It's the idea of looking at an infinite hallway with an infinite number of mirrors that represent all different shapes, sizes, orientations, configurations, that represent perspective and potentiality residing within the infinite capacitance nature of the universal dynamic that represents our expression in all the ways that it can be expressed infinitely. Therefore, the idea of looking at the one, at looking at oneness pertaining to these, is the correct way. This is the ancient science. It's not just me saying this. This is going back to the yogis. This is going back to ancient cultures, ancient civilizations, where everything returns back into the one. And if we're not doing that, if we're leading astray, then we're just going south. We're not even close to moving towards magnetic north. We're just lost in the bushes, and we're wandering in the wrong direction. At some particular point, it's going to cause us to fall into a pit. Therefore, from what I have received, from the perspective that I'm giving you, because like I said, everything is perspective. It's something that you can accept or reject, and I suggest doing your own research with this. But nonetheless, from the perspective I'm giving you, there is only the universe. There is no multiverse. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you again in another perspective. Now, take care.